Hey there, Speakers Magazine family. Yes, you see that down there that we're going to have Tenise Hordge actually join us in a few, but let me just tell you a little bit about her. So, if you are a millennial, or you could be a Gen X, or you could be a younger millennial, I think that's Gen Y. You want to listen to her because she's a person that has been in the corporate world for a while, amassed a lot of degrees, engineering, MBA, and then decided one day, it's like, you know what? There's more to life than this. And she started her own company, very successful. Now she's doing something to encourage other people to really break bad and to do the thing that they were meant to do, to live life out loud, to really embrace life and to live the fulfillment. And not only just monetarily, but just in terms of living your dreams, in terms of inspiring, encouraging others. And you can do this, especially mompreneurs. You can do this. So I'm going to really at this point bring her up right after we do this little thing about Speakers Magazine, give our little intro, and we're going to come back and listen to Tenise and really be inspired because we had some little conversation before this started. So Tenise is going to be in a upcoming issue of Speakers Magazine, Tenise Hordge. She is the visionary behind the transformative work of the driving force behind Mother's Magical Milk. She has a passion for empowerment and a dynamic presence as a speaker and coach, which you'll witness as soon as I bring her up. And she's made it her mission to inspire and uplift individuals on their journeys to personal and professional fulfillment. She has a bachelor's of science in industrial engineering, shows her analytical skills, and an MBA that talks about her strategic acumen. But one of the things is that she spent about a couple of decades in the corporate world and she fearlessly stepped away from her corporate career to turn her passion into purpose. So right now, her main thing is to really show other people how to do that, of really through her mother's milk company. She has a path aligned that really does that with her coaching. She really empowers others to break bad, to break them free from limitations, discover their passion, and to pursue their dreams with unwavering determination. She's a leader, a catalyst, basically about professional transformation. She is really one of those people that you really need to listen to and probably hire to speak to really ignite the passion within you. So, with that, we're going to bring up Denise.
Good evening, Dr. Pam. Thanks for having me on.
Oh my God. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So, we were talking before, I guess you would say, behind the scenes, and about how you really came to leaving the corporate and really starting the Mother's Magical Milk, the lactation company, and really now in speaking in coaching. But give us a little bit about the scenario of how the things happen, the circumstances happen where you said, you know what, let me figure out what it is I want to do, and how Mother's Milk was really like the pivotal point of that after you became a mom.
Yes. So I think I should write a book called A Series of Little Steps because it really was a series of little steps. So I have 18 years corporate engineering and manufacturing experience, have really had a really great career. But I would have to say for a good 50% of that, I was really unfulfilled and just showing up, turning the wheel, collecting the check, going on the trips, having all the fringe benefits, but not really feeling like I, A, could show up 100% like myself, and B, was really making an impact or a difference. So fast forward, I had my daughter in 2017. She came at 31 weeks, which meant she was 2 weeks early. So she spent 6 weeks in the NICU. And that really changed my perspective and outlook on a variety of things, right? Because everything shifted to her. I remember being in the hospital having to sign a waiver basically stating that if I could not produce enough breast milk, that they were going to give her donor milk. And I had planned to breastfeed and, but I just had no idea of the significance of how important human milk was, especially to preemies.
Mm-hmm.
So fast forward, we had amazing support in general from the nurses at the hospital, and specifically with lactation. And it was a little spark then, and I was like, there must be really something special about this. But okay, take my baby and go on home and go on about my life. So 2 years later, I had my son. An amazing experience with him. He came in 2019, and then, as we know, the entire world shut down in March of 2020. Well, at
Mm-hmm.
this point, I had returned back to work. They'd given away my job,
Mm-hmm.
so they are required to keep a job in title and pay for you, but not your specific job. So
Oh,
I was working a project that was super chaotic. The people were horrible, the milestones kept changing. It was just a very stressful project time in my life. And then you slap COVID on top of that. So not only did I have COVID fatigue, but I had everything else fatigue. And I remember it was July of 2020, sitting in my makeshift office, right? Because we weren't going back to work at that point, thinking there's gotta be more to there's gotta be more to life. And I had watched the movie Contagion just like everyone else. And I'm thinking, 50% of the population is gonna go. This is it. The time that I have left here on Earth, I want to do something impactful. I had never really thought about public health in a sense that COVID really brought it to the forefront, and I knew I wanted to affect positive change in my community, and I wanted to do that through helping others, especially people that look like me, breastfeed. So we don't talk a lot about human milk beyond food for the baby, but it is so much more than just milk. Women who breastfeed have reduced instances of hypertension later in life. Black and brown
mm-hmm.
leave the country of hypertension related deaths and diseases. It prevents against certain cancers, diabetes in both the child and the mother and children. It reduces obesity, childhood cancer, it's just a host of things. Like breastfeeding is literally the answer to our general public health crisis that we are in. But
Especially with the health disparities between African
yes,
American and the general population, because diabetes is really high, heart disease, those kind of things. Yeah. Oh,
absolutely. So, of the top five, cancer, diabetes, which is disproportionately prevalent in Black men, and then hypertension, 56% of African American women, followed by 43% of Hispanic women, have hypertension. When I
mhm.
think about a heart attack, I think of an old white male. Statistically, that's not the case because 51% of American women have hypertension. So when we talk about the details and the data behind the scene and what shows up later in life when we have these admissions into the hospital, we should be micro focused on how to prevent this earlier in life. And breastfeeding is literally an answer to do that. However, we sexualize breasts. We don't have enough lactation trained
Especially.
professionals. Yes, we
Mhm.
don't support women when they have babies. A 6 week of maternity leave is that's not it. So there's just a host of opportunities that we still need to accomplish as a country to really affect positive change, and I want us to be on the forefront of that.
Mhm, mhm. So one of the things too, it was a fearless move to, leave a job and to you've never been an entrepreneur before.
Yes.
So what was your training like? I will say this, that becoming an entrepreneur, starting your own business is the biggest personal development program you could ever do for yourself
I have
because
to
it
echo that.
stretches you
It does.
everything.
You use stuff you never knew you had. Okay.
Right.
So I had side hustles and different things, but I really had a career that afforded me a lot of disposable income.
Okay.
I remember telling my parents, and my pops has since passed, that I was going to quit my corporate gig, my six figure, the corner office, all the things to pursue a career in lactation. He said, "Now, you going to do what?" Because that's just not what people do. Which is kind of the whole thing about Breaking Bad, which we'll get to. But it was so I'm a planner. So part of my engineering and my corporate background is program management. So I had the Excel spreadsheet, I had all the
Oh,
lists of
yeah.
all the things to do. I had the conversation with my husband, who is amazingly supportive and was like, if this is what we're gonna do, we're gonna do it. So there were steps that we took. It wasn't just like I put in my 2 weeks notice. I collected my bonus the following year. We got new floors in the house. Like we did some things.
Mhm.
And then I gave a 30-day notice and went about my business. So there is a path where I definitely don't want people just quitting, leaving work on Friday and quitting and not coming on
We don't
Monday.
want to. What's that
There's
song that
some
Beyonce had
processes and
everybody?
steps that actually,
Right, Beyonce had everybody quitting their
yes,
job, and you won't break my soul. I just quit my job. It's like, oh, okay, let's not
yes.
quit the job just yet.
Don't listen to that
Let's quit
song.
playing. Right, right.
Right.
So that became a theme song. It's like, oh my goodness. But yeah, that is so with the support of your husband, the planning, because you have an MBA. So you basically could do the business plan. Uh Putting the business plan is really key. The knowing the need, you had that, and your target. Who was the target market at that time when you were doing, obviously mothers, but was it in a geographic area? Was it a particular age? What was the target?
Yeah, so women ages 20 to 40 in my
Okay.
local area. I
Oh.
did initially, my target demographic were women of color because they historically
Mhm.
initiate breastfeeding at a lower rate and have lower durations of breastfeeding. But I see everyone, anybody who comes to me and they want support in feeding and nurturing their child, or is having issues with their breast. That's what it's all about. So I am very honored and humbled to be able to serve my community in the capacity that I do. And I don't take that lightly because let's face it, the early postpartum period is very hectic. You're not sleeping. Imagine healing and also being in pain and concerned that your child is not growing or getting
Mhm.
the food that they need.
Mhm.
These are very horrible situations altogether, and so I don't take it lightly the work that I do, and it's a blessing to serve in the way that I do.
That is one of the things too. You mentioned that because I breastfeed my daughter, and it was like like I said, this was over 30 years, almost 30 years ago, and people were like, "You're gonna do what? What?" Then I had to take the pump thing at work, and then I had to pump it, and then they put it in there, and my mother was like, "Why are you gonna do that? Why don't you just go on and just, give her formula, da, da, this and that." Well, it was like, "No, we're gonna do this because it's better for the baby." That's just I just felt like, and she just grew up healthy, and, no other things, I did it really well. This was the main thing though, Tenise. I heard that you lose weight when you breastfeed. I was like, "Okay, I'm signing up for that."
Yes.
But it
So
is
that is a positive side effect. When the baby's at the breast or the mom is pumping, she can be burning anywhere between 200 and 500 calories each.
that's what I'm saying. That's
Yes.
that was
So
that was my that was my main thing, but other than the fact that I knew that it was healthier and that kinda thing, but people
yes.
were looking at me side eye, when I would go and have to pump, and then I had this special blanket, I had a little pillow, I mean, I had all of these tools, and, my mother-in-law, she's like, "Oh my god, we didn't have that, we just had a bottle, can you just, like," I was like, "No, this is thing." So, I didn't have the support. There was no I had a lady at my church that helped me. Okay. But that was the only help. There was no organization. I didn't feel like there was some that I could go to because I feel like they didn't know my situation because I'm a person of color. So it was you weren't around then, but I can see the need of that and why it's so successful now.
And unfortunately, hearing your story, not much has changed over 30 years.
Oh my It's
Yeah. And
crazy.
so, and that's another reason why I'm here is to influence the next generation. I don't want it to be taboo for my 7-year old when she's ready to have a family that she's breastfeeding. I want her to have the support that she needs if she needs it.
Mhm.
And all the other children out there, but it's really being able to affect positive change and turn the tide because it's the biological norm. We're
Mhm.
not talking about something that is way outside of the scope of possibilities. It is the biological norm and how we should be feeding our children.
Mhm. That is. And what do you think is the average time that a woman should do, breastfeeding? Is it up to the child? Is it up to the mom? Now for
Yeah, it's a
me, I ha
combination. It's a
it
combination of mother and child. I will tell you that the global average is somewhere around 4 years, and that's globally. We
wow.
tend to have a very Western perspective of things, but our lifestyles are very different. Again, back to both parents working, maybe mom not having a great maternity leave, the sexualization of breasts. So there are several factors that kind of interfere with our
Mhm.
landscape, but the global average is somewhere around 4 years. So I always tell the families that I work with, it depends on your circumstances. I can't go home with you. So whatever it looks like to make it work in your household, that's what it is. Tell me what that is, and we're going to work on it together.
Mhm. And my daughter at about, I would say probably about 8 months or so, she at a certain point in time wanted to have a bottle because I would have the bottle for to put the breast milk in, but it was like at a certain point she didn't want to be to do the breast. And I was like, "Well, look at Miss Independent." She's still independent to this day. I was like, "Okay, 8 months, you're done." And then other mothers said, "Well, I can't get her to, to take the bottle, this and that." I said, my daughter was like, "I'm good. Give me the milk. I just want to hold it myself." And she was holding it herself. So anyway, that's just a whole nother thing. So when did it turn for you, Tenise, where it's like, okay, I'm running this company. I'm feeling really good about myself. I'm in my passion. I'm in my lane. You're using all the personal development skills. You're doing the sales, the marketing. You're doing all the things, right? But it's fun because you're growing. So when did it decide that I really want to do speaking and coaching and helping other women do the same? When was that
Yes.
turning point? What was the epiphany?
Interesting enough, I was at a lactation conference last August with two of my lactation mentors, and one of them had recommended the book by Rachel Rogers, and I think it's "We Should All Be Millionaires."
Hmm.
And I read the book in like a weekend, and I was like, "Wow!" And it wasn't that Rachel said anything that was
Different.
oh,
Yeah.
yeah, but
It
I
just
guess just
resonated.
at that point, it resonated with me differently that I should be doing more and that I had more to give. And so at that point, I was like, I'm going to launch this. I wasn't sure if it was going to be like another arm of Mother's Magical Milk or what that was going to look like. Because at that point, I was thinking I was going to tell the world about the benefits of human milk and breastfeeding, and everyone should be doing it and what that
Yeah,
looked like.
they should.
And yeah, they should, but that's not really my niche. I think where I really bring value is helping women and specifically mothers get to a point where they can live life on purpose.
Mm.
I think about the women in my life, in my family, and just the generational expectations of what success looks like and what women should be doing. And I'm a Gen Xer millennial right on the border there. And that's just not us. Like COVID had proven that all those meetings could have been an email. And our lifestyle
That
really
part.
that part. Our lifestyle and what we determine success doesn't have to be the textbook of what our parents or our grandparents look like because we live in different worlds. And so I want to be able to help women and mothers identify what it is that they want to do and pursue their passion, whether it's within the corporate realm or an entrepreneurial passion like I did, and live life on purpose because life is
Mhm.
entirely too short not to.
It is. And I think it's a lot easier. You had said that you had other businesses like side hustles before when you were in corporate, and that kind of like, showed you a way. And then, like you said, Rachel Rogers' book, and there's so many other women that we can look and see that are doing well in business. And a lot of it has to do with technology, which a lot of millennials and Gen Xers are really savvy with. So just say somebody as simple as taking, I don't know, a lip gloss, right? And they are creating influencers and then doing the YouTube and doing the video and then doing Shopify and da da da. It's
Right.
so much easier. It is like you can source the stuff, the packaging from China if you want to, like whatever. It's like this is you can figure it out. There's another book by Marie Forleo. Everything is figure outable. And that's
So
what
true.
it's everything. And so if it's not like you have to, if there's a part of your life that you're really dissatisfied with, you can figure out like what do I have to do in order to make it so that it's not that way anymore. It's not like you have to stay in a certain thing. If you don't have to stay in a job that you hate, you know, putting up with people that you don't like, not
Right.
making the money that you can. So it's like, okay, well, what are you gonna do?
Yes,
And
and I'm
so
so glad that you say that.
Mhm.
Because if you think about not staying in these things that are making us sick, again, 51% of American women have hypertension. So it's literally breaking our hearts, right? That 56% of African American and 43% of Hispanic women, what are we out here doing that is having such a detrimental effect on our health? Let it go. Let that go, sis.
Mhm. Yeah, not living your life.
Yeah.
And one of the things that a coach can do, and you can kind of say, tell me about some of the people that you've worked with. But a coach makes you accountable. First, helps you define your goals.
Yes.
And then once you define your goals, keeps you accountable and then gives you strategies along the way. So give us some examples of some of the aha moments, I guess you would say, that you've had with clients, or even like maybe speaking at conferences where it's like, this is what I was made to do.
Yeah. So when the light bulb clicks, so I'm going to let you in on a secret. So 90% of what I do as a coach is really encouraging and pulling out what is already inside.
Mhm.
So whatever it is, fear, lack of courage, whatever it is that most of my clients are dealing with, they just need help putting it all together. Some instances, it's kind of, I don't want to say messy, but not in a streamlined process. So helping them
Mhm.
identify the step-by-step approach of what that looks like to define success for them. But I'll tell you, most of the time they already have it. And my job is to help them see it and correlate it into a way that is achievable. I think about trying to eat an elephant. Like, oh my gosh, it's so big. How do I eat an elephant? Piece by piece.
Mhm.
And
But
so
that's
it
how
is.
your brain, that is your brain, that's how it's wired to, because you have a degree in engineering and then
Yes.
also the MBA. So that part of it is the creative part you could understand because you're doing the creative thing, but also you can help people who can't figure out the clarity. You can help them put it step by step and sequential, what to do first, second, and third, and really what the milestones are, and even the analytics and the strategy. It's you help people think the parts through that are, I guess you say, natural to you, or
And
just
I
you
thrive on it.
trained. Yes.
Yes, that is
Yeah.
that is my sweet spot. And
Mhm.
then
Mhm.
specifically, if I think about my audience of mothers who just don't give ourselves enough credit. So women hold over 90% of buying power within the household. That means when the tide runs out, you're already ordering it, and it's a specific type. But when you think about a business skills, you're like, well, I don't know if I can handle logistics. Ma'am, you do that every day. You do that in your sleep. You just don't think about the skill sets that you're using to manage your household outside of your household. And so
Mhm.
being able to look at that from a different lens, and pat yourself on the back and go after your dreams because you already have the skill set to accomplish the goals that you want to do.
That is so true. I think one of the main things that when you are speaking to women, or that are, in so many ways, so your side hustles that you had kind of prepared you for doing Mother's Magical Milk, which is a success. But
Yes.
not everybody, when they first start, I'll say this about me. When I first started my company, my first company was a consulting company. So like consulting on what? I didn't even know. It was called PPC, right? It was PPC consulting. I didn't even understand. Then the next company was like, oh, I'll just do events. That failed too. And I was like, oh my God, because I really hated planning events. And but I just knew that people wanted events planned, but I like promoting events. I just don't like planning them. Then the next company was with my husband, and it was a marketing company, and we dealt with automotive tank. So that business went, so it was like 3 times, and even Speakers Magazine. This is actually my 3rd magazine. My first my first magazine was, it just it was Soul Source, okay? And it was like, I'm gonna just promote churches. Well, churches don't spend money. So okay, so that failed, like 5 issues. The next one was The Hub, and that was for Detroit, and that failed. Because we were trying to print them and take them around. Just anyway. So finally, the third one. So just letting people know that sometimes you fail forward. Don't give up. It is a personal development process, because not only are you building the business, you need a business coach, but you need a mentally to be strong. You need to have a personal coach for personal development, but you do need to pull all together. I heard you talk about all the different pieces of the things that you've done, you use in your company.
Yes.
It was
Yes.
all like part of it. You had it all in you, and you see it
Yes.
in other people.
Yeah. And I will say, I do have my own personal coach. So I have a coach
Hmm.
who provides me with some guidance because even though I'm able to help others, I don't always see the vision for Tenise Hordge clearly.
Yeah,
So
we always have blind spots, right?
yes,
So yeah,
yes.
I
So
have
we
a
all
coach.
need a coach. So just that. And then so the other piece of that, it is frightening, scary to leave your corporate gig to start
Yeah.
your own thing, and even to, like you said, to fail a couple of times. But I think the thing that really keeps me going is I have an amazing skill set. So while I don't want to go back to corporate America, I know that I could. I
Yeah.
know that if I don't want to do this over here, I know that I could if I
Hmm.
needed to.
Hmm.
So I better hustle and do all the things that I need to do on the entrepreneurial side so I don't have to. But we have an amazing skill set that builds that foundation that you can fall back on.
I like
So
that.
I hope that encourages somebody who might be listening, like, oh, but I'm afraid to take that leap. The other side of that is living with regret, or, the woulda, coulda, shouldas. And if you do it, you know that you can accomplish really great things, even if you fail, to do something
Hmm.
different.
Yeah. The thing that, anything is a risk, and you can't win if you don't risk. But the worst case scenario would be have to go get another job. And that's not so bad because you could do that. And then you could get the
Yes.
job and work for 2 years and then go back.
Yes.
That's the thing. So, you have to know how to mitigate the risk, but also know that you have to take the risk if you want to win big. I talked with a client yesterday. We're preparing for her to do some things in Women's History Month. Her company is $30 million company in construction, doing a lot of things in quote unquote like a male dominated world. And she's doing really good now. But for 7 years, it was just iffy. It was up and down, up and down. And every day she was like, I should go get a job. I should go get a job. It's like for 7 years. So we're not talking like 7 months, we're talking like 7 years, and people were looking at her side eyed like, "Really? Is this ever gonna work for you?" Well, now $30 million a year, yeah, it's now working for me. So but
That's
she
an
did have
amazing story.
coaches, and she continuously invests in coaches and things like that, and she's in women groups and women organizations. I think she's in WPO, Women Presence Organization, and things like that, and Women Elevating Women, and so she surrounds herself among the right network of people to help inspire her, as well as investing in coaching and things like that, in the right circles and masterminds, all the things. If you've never had a coach or you've never been in a mastermind and your life is still in the same spot that it was last year than it is this year, then you probably need to do some investing. But
Yes.
yeah,
Yes. Save
yeah.
that for the people in the back.
Yes, exactly. And so what are some of the things that you're working on now in terms of, I know the speaking and the coaching, and they can go to tenisehorge.com. What will they find when they go there?
All right, so we have a lot of amazing things. I am hosting master classes, and my target audience again are women leaders, whether in corporate or entrepreneurship. But I do get a lot of men that ask questions and that join in. So I have a master class where I share my top 5 traits to overcome self doubt and build confidence in leadership. And I'm going to be working on a 2-day summit here that we'll be announcing shortly at the end of March that you can join in virtually wherever you are. And we really will be focused on your 2 to 3 leadership traits that you want to improve. I am also booking speaking engagements. So this is my second podcast of the year. I just finalized some paperwork, yes, for a speaking engagement in South Carolina in November. So it's all moving pretty fast. I have some individual coaching clients where you get one-on-one time with me, and we work on 2 to 3 of your business goals over a 6-week time frame. So all this information is captured on tenisehorge.com. You can go and apply to work with me and learn more about me. Follow me on socials. I try to give tidbits every week on TikTok. On LinkedIn, I have a motivational Empower Minute Monday where I share a message to help kickstart your
Good.
week. And I'm also going to be launching a blog where I share leadership lessons of my 18 years in corporate America.
That is really good. That is the thing. And so it sounds like that blog might turn into a book, and you might be having that book out soon.
Might be. And I'm also working on a book, Breaking Bad, because, there's all this talk about breaking generational curses. And my spin on it is generational expectations. And so I don't want, the generations before us to be like, wait a minute, everybody wants to break all these curses, and there are absolutely some curses that we should be broken. But it's really identifying the differences between our life now and what it looked like when even my mom was working in the 90s and whatnot, and how I mean she was born in Jim Crow time. She was born in the 60s. Like what her childhood was so much different from mine, as will my
Mhm.
children's be. And so breaking those expectations of what it looked like then, because we live in a different world. So I'm working on
Mhm.
that. I hope to have that out by the end of April, but just a lot of really exciting things. Yes. I
That's
know,
gonna
I
be out by the
know.
end of April. Okay.
Yes.
All right, so that is the thing. You are really moving and grooving. I love that. I love that. So they can go to tenisehorge.com. I want them to do that because that's where they're going to get the master classes. They'll be able to get the book you to speak, work with you. I really do encourage people to work with people that resonate with you. Tenise and I have never met. I feel so comfortable with her. She's authentic. You from Texas? What part?
I live in Texas, but I'm not from Texas. I grew up in Colorado, but I lived all over.
Oh
Yes.
my God. Okay.
Mhm.
So yeah, so one of the things too, she can work with you virtually all, in any place that you are, even probably internationally. So it doesn't always have to be United States because the principles are the same. What is your reading? I always ask people, what are you reading right now? What's the latest book that you're reading?
Okay, so I love African American historical fiction. So I just finished up Black Cake, which the show was on Hulu. Like they made a show out of the book. But I really enjoy the historical references and then like
Mm,
the fictional, piece that they put on stories. So I just finished that up. And I probably should have mentioned this. Most of my readings nowadays are Harvard Business Review, as I
mm.
am completing my doctoral degree in healthcare administration. So
What?
that takes yes,
Oh my
I'm trying to
God.
change the world. But yes, so most of my readings are from Harvard Business Review.
Oh my God. So you're another degree.
Yes, and this is
Another.
going to be it.
Okay, I was like, at this point, this is amazing. This is amazing. But that whole period of time, probably during COVID, piqued the interest about public health.
Yes,
We do need to. It needs an overhaul. It
it
really, really
does.
does. It really does.
Yes.
So there's a book I'd like to send you, by um, her name is Dr. Angela Marshall,
Okay.
and uh, you would love this book. I know you're finishing up your doctoral, but she is a doctor out of DC. It's called Dismissed, and it's tackling the biases that undermine our health care.
Yes.
And it's one of the things that Dr. Angela talks about. Her being a doctor itself, women's health, but just how sometimes when you have issues that they dismiss it, right? Like, oh, whatever. So this whole book really talks about how the healthcare industry needs to really just be overhauled, and she takes it from a doctor's perspective. It started with her son, when she went to the doctor, and she was saying something isn't going right, and this older white man was like, you'll be okay. Well, her son ended up dying, but
Mm.
it wasn't until years later that she realized that that happens a lot, that the women's, concerns are dismissed, African American women's are dismissed, and then, bad things happen. So anyway, so I will send you this as well, okay? So that you
Please.
can have that. That will help you because you're on a mission. I can see you're on a path of really just trying to make everything better. So that is something that, and I want you to connect with Dr. Angela Marshall. She's on LinkedIn as well.
Okay. I
So
will.
with that, you can kind of see that. Definitely connect with Tenise Horde. She's one of those people where you just want to meet. She will help you get your life together. Okay. She'll help you get your life together. So thank you so much for joining the Speakers Magazine show. And you will be seeing her in the magazine soon. All righty.
Yes.
God
Thanks for
bless.
having me. Have a good one.
Thank you. All righty. Bye bye.